Alrighty, we're live streaming, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. We're on YouTube in various places and on social media and here in the Zoom room. But do us a favor, we're going to put a timer on, just which is your opportunity to check if your guests have arrived online. But that will be a 30-second video and then we will get started. Alrighty, if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not speak fluent English, and that is totally fine with us because we do have closed captions you can follow along in the Zoom room as well as on YouTube as well. So with that in mind, have a quick listen to this.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Kérlek, menjünk képernyő aljára, a Zoomon vagy a YouTube-on, a Closed Caption részre, és ott el tud olvasni magyarul a feliratot.
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
Zoom または YouTube の画面の下部に移動し、字幕をクリックして日本語で読んでください。
請到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文。
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπότιτλους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać po...
Beautiful. So welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Firth, one of the founding Field Advisory Board members and Crowns with the company. It's my pleasure to do this call whenever our founder is available to hop on, and we call this Meet the Founder, up close and personal. Steve Scott, if you don't know him, I've known Steve now for 18 years, Steve.
Wow.
I met Steve way back when he was actually pioneering the research space in glutathione. Steve Scott was behind the Total Gym with billions in sales. If you don't know that, you probably saw Christy Brinkley and Chuck Norris on TV. Pretty much every Hollywood star known to man has done a commercial with Steve. Having said that, Steve also launched and discovered this amazing breakthrough, which is the reason that Numi launched 4 years ago. We're in 74 markets around the world, and this is your opportunity to hear directly from our founder, Steve Scott. So with that, I'll hand the call to you.
Thank you very much, Michael, and welcome everybody. We're going to be consistent. This will be every Thursday night from now on. I won't miss. I'm trying to think where am I next Thursday, but I won't miss. I'll make sure wherever I am, we will still do the call so you can have a place. You can bring those that you want to hear about our breakthrough technology. Let's see, I'm looking at different people. There's Christoph. Okay, it's good to see everybody from around the world. Phoebe and Jackie and Christoph. Let me think. We have quite a few. That's good. And then we don't see the people that are watching us stream on Facebook. We only see who's on Zoom. And a lot of neat things are happening. We keep finding out more and more about our... Oh, there's Larry Wilson. Hey, Larry. More and more about our technology, more and more about our formulas. It's truly amazing. Because of the science board that we have, we've known all along that we see miraculous outcomes in just so many different areas. And you can understand the level we're working on. I've always allocated it to primarily the reduction of oxidative stress. And oxidative stress creates inflammation. Inflammation creates, opens the gateway to nearly every disease state that we worry about today. Everything from cancer, heart disease, diabetes, you name it, inflammation plays a critical role in the onset and the progression of disease states. Well, now they relate that increase in inflammation. This is in all the medical literature now that doctors don't read, but scientists do. This particular study that was given to me by a scientist back in 2000, it was published in 2009. I probably saw it in 2012. But it says, the title of the article was something like the dysregulation of glutathione and the etiology of human disease. And so it was saying our glutathione levels, for those of you that don't know, decline at the rate of 8 to 15% per decade, starting at the age of 21. Here, I've got to we have a special guest in here from out of town, and I've got to give my son my corporate card so he can take him to his hotel. Here we go. Keep going. And keys to the car. They're probably in the car.
Okay, so
I think they're in the car because they're not, or they would be in that room. Okay, sorry. This is live TV. So there's that was Sean, who is my assistant, administrative assistant, editor. Everything goes on. But anyway, glutathione is the most studied molecule in medical science, over 195,000 published studies. Obviously, nobody reads all of them, but you can Google search. You can go to PubMed, and then you can search glutathione and you'll see all these studies. Sometimes there'll be 500 studies on just one aspect of glutathione. Why is it the most studied? Because it impacts every cell, every tissue, every organ, every aspect of your health, your life, your longevity, your human performance, your immune system. Do you get sick when sickness comes around? How long do you stay sick? How fast do you recover? All that is dealt with by glutathione. And so I already knew that. I've been mentored by a couple amazing scientists, one of which was truly renowned. He was 42 years at the University of Minnesota, and he was 42 years a professor of medicinal chemistry and toxicology. But more than that, he was an incredible scientist and researcher. And he became enamored with glutathione about 50 years ago. And probably, I would say, I'd put him against anybody, knows more about glutathione than anybody in the world. He passed away last year at the age of 97. And, but always looking at glutathione at the cellular level, never looking at it necessarily at the genetic level. So you've got cellular level, and beneath that, foundational to that, is the genetic level. And foundational to the genetic level is what they call the transcription level. The transcription factors are these molecules that turn the genes on and off. For example, there's one transcription factor that controls hundreds of genes, including all the pro-inflammatory genes. What's a pro-inflammatory genes? When they overexpress, you become highly inflamed and all sorts of problems happen. When they underexpressed, you have other problems. When they're normal, you don't have a problem with inflammation, but very few people today have all of their inflammatory genes, pro-inflammatory genes, at the normal level. Some are too high, some are too low. And that's an area I have never gotten into until a man that I met agreed to become part of our medical advisory board. Now, we have a board of medical scientists, medical doctors from the finest institutions in the world: Harvard, Mayo Clinic, Sloan Kettering, Memorial Sloan Kettering, in New York City, Texas Heart Institute, University of Minnesota. We have Baylor Medical. We have incredible scientists. Well, this one guy was all educated in the United States. His postdoctorate was 6 years at Sloan Kettering, which is cancer research, at a molecular, at a cellular level and genetic level. A brilliant geneticist. And then he moved back home to Greece, where he practices now. Well, guess what happened to him? His name is Dr. You can look him up on our medical board, Dr. Sotiris Nikolopoulos. And Sotiris had been his next door neighbor, and I've been in his home now in Athens. His next door neighbor is 42 years as a professor of biochemistry at the Athens Medical School that's affiliated with Harvard here in the United States. 42-year professor, next door neighbor. And she comes, somebody gave her, do I have it? Preparation, not well prepared. It's our blue bottle. Somebody gave her our blue bottle of NutraSwish, and they said it's glutathione. It's delivered completely differently. It's nano. You swish it, and they told her all about it. Uh-oh. Did I just do? Okay, there it is. Thank you. I just ran over a cord, and all of a sudden my computer changed, but it wasn't my computer cord, thankfully. Anyway, thank you, Michael. So gave her that bottle. She tried it for 3 days, didn't notice any difference, but she had paid for the bottle, which was a month's supply, so she thought, I'll keep using it anyway. Probably just junk. Well, on day 4, an issue that she had had for 20 years disappeared. She was blown away. She stayed on the product and started seeing other amazing things happen. When I went to Greece, there were over 100 medical doctors. I think we had 150 medical doctors out of 550 people. And most of them were there because of her. She's that well respected. Well, she goes over and tells her next door neighbor, she says, hey, I've got something I want you to try. By the way, she had bought the bottle. So she goes over to Dr. Nikolopoulos and says, you've got to try it. It's glutathione. He says, I'm already on liposomal glutathione. It's the most expensive brand and best brand out of Germany. So I really don't need it. She said, hey, it's not like this one. You got to try it. Well, out of respect for her, he agrees to try it. Tries it right before he does his 3 times a week. His workout is 10,000 steps, which is about 3.5 miles. And so he takes it right before that, like she told her to, him to. And normally when he completes his 10,000 steps, he's ready to collapse. Just he's spent. And this time, after 10,000 steps, he felt just as good as he felt when he started. And he thought, I could go another 10,000 steps, but I've got an appointment, so I can't. Then he tried it 2 days later again before his exercise, saw the same kind. So then he went on it full time, daily, and just noticed so many things. So he put some of his patients on it. And they all started seeing changes. Well, Dr. Nikolopoulos has the ability to measure genetic expression of any given gene in the moment. So it's called quantitative real-time PCR. And let's see, I left it in my other room, so I can't show you. Anyway, he starts seeing these amazing things at a genetic level with the people he puts on this product. And so we make no claims, no health claims. We are a supplement. We don't treat, cure, prevent. Oh, come on, cancel. Pop-ups. Anyway, we don't treat, cure, prevent any disease states. But he started seeing so many things. So here's the level I was looking at. He's looking at the genetic level in the cell at that level. And now he's looking at beneath that level at the transcription factors. And I got a report from him that level. and it was an amazing result. But he then went on vacation for 3 weeks, and he just got back Sunday, and now he's back into his work, and hopefully we'll get some neat results in the next few weeks. But all that to say, then I go ahead and I look into the studies about glutathione, and I find out that glutathione, remember we say it does 400 functions? There's no life on Earth without it, not even plant life. It turns out when I type in glutathione and a particular transcription factor, it says glutathione is the protector of the transcription factors. It's the protector of the human genome. Unbelievable. It was there in front of me all along. All I had to do is do a little digging as far as what glutathione can do. Now, what's the difference between what a study says glutathione can do and what our product can do? What the studies usually are talking about are the endogenous glutathione that's produced in your body. Every single cell in your body, 37 trillion of them, are producing glutathione right now as you sit there. You have in your body 37 trillion factories that have a bunch of little factories. And one of the little factories they have is the factory that produces glutathione in your body, in your cells, in your tissue. Now, every liver cell has 1,000 times more glutathione than any other cell in your body because your liver cells detoxify themselves. The liver detoxifies your blood, but it collects all this crap. What detoxifies the liver? It's glutathione. So anyway, I found out something new that I never included it in my talks, but endogenous glutathione is the protector of your genes in the transcription factor or switches that turn those various genes off and on. So it never ends. It never ends what glutathione does. The problem is your glutathione levels decline by 8 to 15% per decade. And that's what this study was about out of the University of Rochester Medical School. And it was titled The Dysregulation of Endogenous Glutathione and the Etiology, meaning the beginning and progression of human disease. And it linked the decline in glutathione to every major disease that you've ever heard of. Now, there's some what they call orphan diseases that affect 100 or 200 people. You may not have heard of those. But take all the big ones: cancer, heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease, liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver, alcoholic fatty liver, cirrhosis. Take all the skin disorders, all of them. They all increase as glutathione levels decrease. Why? Oxidative stress creates more free radicals and creates inflammation in the cell. Michael, do you still have a picture of the cell? Why don't you bring that up? So what he's going to show you is a cross-section that is a combination of the microscope feeding into a computer and the computer then creating the image. This is a simplified cross-section of a human cell. Simplified. So look at all those things that connect. Look at how they're wired. Look at how they're ordered. It is probably 1 billion times more complex than what you can see right here. Okay, and you get into study of the cell. I never realized it, but the cell, every cell, the most complex piece of equipment, most complex thing mankind has ever built was the Saturn V lunar rocket launch vehicle, 3 stages, 32 stories high, 320 feet high, and its lunar lander and its lunar orbiter. And all that put together took 35,000 engineers, 8 years to design and build. Every cell in your body is thousands of times more complex than the Saturn V. It didn't happen by accident. The most complex, most advanced computer in the world, supercomputers, have 50 miles of wiring. Your body, your brain, not even your body, your brain has 300,000 miles of wiring, and those wires are connected. I built a shortwave radio when I was in high school, and I remember, soldering the endpoints of these different wires onto a circuit board, and it took hours to do it right. And there were probably less than 100 wires, 200 connections, and your brain has billions. I can't remember how many now. I'll have to look it up, of those wires and connections. It's amazing. And your brain is wired in such a way to where there are wires, some wires, that don't connect, but they still communicate. They're still receiving from endpoints, even though they're not physically connected. That's called a non-covalent bond. The electrons are not connected, and yet there's interface. It is so complex. People, if you see me, I no longer make political posts on my Facebook page. I stopped that a long time ago when we started NUMMI, for the most part. But I do make pro-life, anti-abortion posts. Why? Because every single life that's aborted is this incredible Van Gogh times a million creation of God. It's amazing. He created every human being for a purpose. When one of my dear friends was the head engineer creating the most advanced computer in the world for the Sperry Sperry? Yeah, Sperry Corporation. And in 1976, he's the one that got all the patents, and he had to sign them over to Sperry. And his computer, he was very proud. He's from India. He says, very, very fast. He can receive 1 billion inputs in 1 second. 1 billion. I said, Chandra, how many could it receive at the same time, simultaneously? Oh, well, it's linear. It's linear, only one at a time, but 1 billion in a second. I said, how big is it? Oh, very, very big. And I said, well, that's nothing. I know a computer that receives tens of millions of inputs simultaneously in the exact same moment. He said, oh, that'd be very impossible. You need every high-rise building and every floor of every high-rise building to contain the hardware to do something like that. I said, no, that's one of the cool things is it's this big. This big. It's your brain. The artificial intelligence has calculated that to perform 1 second of human brain activity would require 80,000 processors working for 40 minutes each to duplicate 1 second of human brain activity. It would require that many processors, would require a gigawatt of electricity, which is 2 nuclear power plants. Now AI has calculated what it would take to duplicate brain activity ongoing. It would require ongoing, without pause, 2 gigawatts of electricity if you did it with AI, 2 gigawatts. And that would be 4 nuclear reactors to duplicate with AI what your brain does. But I asked Chandra, who's going to buy your supercomputers? He says, oh, we won't sell many of them. We figure the biggest banks in the world, maybe 10, a few to the government. And but he didn't create it so they could get mediocre results or add up 2 + 2 = 4. They created it for solving complex problems. God didn't give you the brain he gave you so you could have mediocrity. He created you for purposes. Your purpose may be to love somebody tomorrow. Just show them kindness and unselfish love. No computer can do that. You can do so many things. Okay, now I've done my preaching, but I can't help it because every time I learn more about how complex our brain is. Your brain has 300,000 miles of wiring. Your DNA, if we connected all the threads, laid them out linearly and connected those threads, it's 1,300 round trips to the sun. That's how much DNA lengthwise your body carries. And it's contained within 2 teaspoons of matter. Think about that. Trillions of miles, or billions anyway, trillions of feet, I guess. Each cell has 3 meters. But if you take that double helix and straighten it out, it turns into 2 meters times 37 trillion. You can do the math. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about glutathione in case you don't know. So glutathione is your body's miracle molecule. It performs over 400 functions. There's no life on Earth without it. You start with function number 1, there'd be no oxygen transfer. When your hemoglobin is manufactured, it has iron molecules in it. If those iron molecules have a +3 charge, then the hemoglobin cannot bind to oxygen and do its job. If it has a +2 charges in the iron, it will connect. Well, guess what? Guess what reduces the +3 charges to +2? Glutathione. So right there, you take the breath, it go into your lungs, the oxygen go into your lungs, it wouldn't go any further. You'd die very quickly. Your brain would be oxygen starved, so would your heart, so would every cell in your body. That's just one of 400 functions. What else? Well, everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body right now that don't belong there. And the only reason we say 200 is because the CDC tested 2,000 individuals for 217 and found out that every single individual had all 217. In that particular test, they were testing the umbilical cords. And that's what they found in the umbilical cord. So every newborn baby starts out with at least 217 industrial chemicals that don't belong there. Well, glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell. It has this real sticky sulfhydryl molecule, sulfur and hydrogen, and it sticks to the chemical contaminant and neutralizes it so that it can't damage your cell. That's function number 2. It's the detoxifier of the cell. Function number 3, and this is a big one, it's the sole protector of your immune system. When you have an insult from a bacteria or a virus, your immune system kicks into gear and it tries to find the right configuration of T cells to target that virus or bacteria and kill it. Problem is, the virus and bacteria, when they come into your body, they begin replicating at a very rapid rate. So it starts out a little bit and then it mushrooms into a lot. If you have high glutathione levels, your T cells and B cells can reproduce at a rapid rate in response to that viral or bacterial insult. If you have low glutathione levels, then your T cells are reproduced at a much slower rate, and the virus or bacteria can win. It can make you sick, it can keep you sick, it can even kill you if somehow you don't start to assassinate it, or if its half-life is long enough to do so. So anyway, glutathione is the sole protector of the immune system. Pretty important. What else? In fact, nobody with high glutathione levels died during the pandemic. You say, well, how about people that were obese? Well, that's a cofactor, so they have lower glutathione levels. How about these old people that everything seemed fine? Sorry, just the fact that they've aged, they've lost. In my case, I'm 77. I've already lost 65% of my glutathione. So my body operates on only 35 to 40% of the glutathione that it had at the age of 20, yet the demand and need never goes down. Thank goodness I have that blue bottle. Michael, show him the blue bottle again. This is our formula for increasing glutathione. Now, all glutathione isn't alike. The glutathione molecule is alike, or it wouldn't be glutathione. But delivery, okay, now here, let's see, oh, I don't even have my soda cans. Okay, this will have to work. So we'll say that this is the entrance to a human cell. Here you have the cellular wall. You have the cytoplasm on this side. That's the part of the cell that we want to impact. But we have to go through that pore. If we can get through that pore, that's called passive infusion or passive diffusion. It can be titled either way. We're going to get in. Now, to get through that pore, there's a particular size problem. Now, when you take the glutathione molecule, let's take a little molecule. I'll take a little of this. So here's a little molecule, and the glutathione molecule is small enough, see, it can get into that pore real easy. There it is. It's getting into the pore, into the cell. However, you can't get your glutathione through your stomach. You take it in the form of a capsule, and your stomach acid breaks it apart very quickly, and it's worthless. So to get around that, they said, let's wrap it in a layer, in a membrane layer of fat. So they wrap the glutathione molecule in the fat. Good news is that protects it through the stomach to a degree. Problem is, the particle size is now too big to get into the pore. Can't do it. So what happens? As a liposome, it sits on the cell, and then you're counting on energy forces to dissolve the membrane, so the glutathione molecule is left, and some of it will leach into the cellular wall. Now, some of that might leach into the cytoplasm, and a teeny tiny little bit of that might even get into the nucleus, but it's very inefficient and moderately, in fact, minimally affected. I live on a mountain. It's pretty steep grade. And I see cyclists every now and then. There's one part to getting to our house where they have to go up this grade. And if they went up in high gear, they'd be pedaling real fast and they wouldn't make it to the top. That's kind of like liposomal glutathione. And yet that's what most people buy. That's what Dr. Nicolopoulos was on. And he had never seen anything like what he saw the day he did his 10,000 steps with our product. There are other ways. In fact, I was with him and he brought up glutathione injections and infusions. Now there you're injecting directly into the bloodstream. So that's the good news. The bad news is that it's an injection or infusion is in the bloodstream long enough that the blood can actually start to break it down as it rubs against the cellular membrane. it can break it down and break it into its three component parts, which are glycine, glutamic acid, and cysteine. They go into the cytoplasm ultimately, and then the cytoplasm will reconstruct those three molecules into one beautiful glutathione molecule. Problem is that too is somewhat inefficient, but here's the bad news. Half-life is only 90 minutes. Of any glutathione is an hour, some are 4 hours, but the body overall for those 37 trillion cells is only 90 minutes. So you get about a 90-minute bang for the buck. And then you get a secondary effect, less potent, for about 6 hours. And then you get a tertiary effect, very impotent for the most part, for about 20 to 30 hours. So waste of $300 between you and me, which is what it costs for an infusion. An injection will cost you about $80 here in the United States. What have we done? We developed a technology we call Hydrostat. We're the only ones in the world that have it. And what we do, instead of wrapping the molecule with fat, we build using a specially treated water that's 40% more pure than a hospital IV. We create water matrices or envelopes and we wrap it in that. And that doesn't increase the volume. If I dip this piece into water, it wouldn't get that much bigger. Okay. And problem is that won't get it through the stomach. But because the particle size is so small, it absorbs right into the bloodstream through your mucosa as you swish it. And through your venous cavity under your tongue as you just hold it. So swish, hold, swish. So when I wake up in the morning, people ask me what I do. When I wake up in the morning, I instantly put one of these dosage cups, fill it up, put it in, start swishing, okay? Do a little bit, and I swish. You have to swish for at least 30 seconds is what we recommend. But I like to swish more to get more absorption. So then I'll put my contacts in, but while I'm doing that, I'm just holding it in my mouth. And then after my contacts are in, I'll jump in the shower, keep swishing. When I go to shave, I'm holding it in my mouth. I'm not swishing. Then I'm washing my hair and I'm swishing again. I get out of the shower to dry off. So I'm probably swishing for 3 minutes. But when I get out, when I finish swishing, it's already in every cell in my body, because from the time those molecules enter the bloodstream till the time they're out of the bloodstream and into the cells is only 50 to 60 seconds. So an athlete can use this 5 minutes before an event or a workout, and they're good. They're good for it. Now, what we currently have in circulation, that blue bottle, has a certain ratio between cysteine and glutathione. Cysteine is the recycling agent for glutathione. It recycles the molecule after it's donated an electron to neutralize a free radical. It has to be recharged, recycled. Well, cysteine is the recycling agent. You will soon be getting, sometime in the fall, in your auto ship, you'll be receiving a new formula where it's the same amounts, but we shifted the ratio. We raised the amount of cysteine. And in doing that, we have actually, on paper, and now people tell us who have tried it, including me, it lasts a lot longer. And we think we're getting a 300% increase in the half-life. So instead of an average of 90 minutes, we'd have an average of 270 minutes, which is great. And on that ratio, I'm just doing it once a day. On the other ratio that we have in circulation, I'd be doing it twice a day. It's also seems to be more concentrated. There's something about that it's just everything's working better. I'm going to show you something. From the time I was a little kid, I always did that. If I was riding in somebody's car, I just do that. And people have asked me, why do you do that? Because it feels good. It feels good to tuck it in there. I'm 77. Probably 5 years ago, I couldn't do that anymore. I would stop right about there. I couldn't snap my fingers. On a revised formula, I can snap my fingers. I can curl it up like that, just like I used to. I can also pick up things off the floor. I don't have to use my feet to grab something on the floor. I can actually bend down and pick it up without stiffness or soreness or hurting or anything. So see, all you young people, you don't know what that's like, but don't worry, it's coming. But it doesn't happen. I mean, it's no wonder we see what we see. And this man that we were with today and that I'll be with tonight and then I'll be with him tomorrow is a man who is very well connected, a lifetime of connections to the military and to veterans. And we're talking about how we can get this into broader usage. Why? PTSDs, wounds, all sorts of things that the glutathione, when it gets into the cell. Now, to impact a transcription factor, those genetic switches, you have to get into the nucleus. And so right now, if it bears out in additional patients, if it shows that we're impacting the transcription factors, then I can tell you right now, there's no other product that can do that in the world. Also, we're just seeing things. I wish I could report them to you, but I can't. Now, we're working with somebody that might be able to get us at some point. There may be a way that we can get clearance for saying some things and showing some things that the FDA, Federal Food and Drug Administration, won't let us share now. And we're working with a scientist who works with the FDA. And that's a dream come true. Oh, big news. Big news. I have always wanted to get our product into professional sports, because secretly we have some professional football players that are on the product, professional baseball players, a lot of soccer players in Europe, marathoners, a lot of athletes in Europe are on our product. But in the United States, a professional athlete and a college athlete cannot use a product that isn't NSF, that means National Sanitation Foundation, certified for sport. You have to have that if you want to be in the ranks. Well, there is a new sheriff in town. The scientist that created all of these qualities for certification by the NSF, she was the head scientist for the NSF for 15 years, started her own company. And instead of testing for 300 banned substances, they test for 500 banned substances. Guess what? They've tested us and we passed. We now have their certification. That company, you can look it up on the internet. It's called TruShield, T-R-U, Shield Certify. TruShield Certified is the website, TruShieldCertified.com. They have now certified NutraSwish, which means we can now get into professional sports. Their certification is accepted by the National Football League, by Major League Baseball, and by the US or by the World Olympics. We're good for Olympic. Now, we've had Olympic athletes using our product, but not with certification. Now it's certified for those sports. That is a very, very, very big deal, because as we start to get professional adaptation by professional athletes, we already have some of them, but it's going to start happening. I think it's going to cascade into a ginormous waterfall over the next year and a half. As that happens, you will have the credibility with people saying these pro football players are now using it. Major League Baseball in the US, the Olympians Olympians are using it. That's exciting. Nobody else has that. No other glutathione distributor has that. We now have it. So congratulations to Bert and our people here that worked with that scientist to get our batches certified. And every batch has to be certified. So what happens, we do a production run in a day, and we produce, we'll say 8 times 300, 2,400 gallons. Samples have to go from that 2,400 to TruShield. They analyze it, and then that batch is certified. Cool, huh? So we're already tested for purity 3 times. Independent labs test us when we make it, before we ship it to the bottler. Once they say, yep, you're pure, we then ship 300 gallons to our bottler before they'll put it in their machine. They then test it, send it out for independent testing. That comes back, you're okay. They fill the bottles, but before they'll ship one bottle back to us, they do another test from their bottles to make sure that we're 100% pure. So we've already had all that, but now we're certified for athletic use and part of the 99% of the glory goes to this lady for convincing the NFL and the Olympics and the Major League Baseball, MLB, to accept her certification. And I think they kind of had to, because she's actually checking for more banned substances than the NSF is. So all that's good news for us. Today, we're going to run through some before and afters, and then we'll be done. One of our athletes was in an accident. Her face was horribly abrasion. She was hospitalized for 3 days. Plastic surgeon said it would take at least 5 weeks before that would clear. She got home, started applying our product topically. This is in 2018, and lo and behold, in 5 days, her face was perfectly clear and no scars. Just amazing. Plastic surgeon had never seen anything like it. I've owned 5 cosmetic companies, so I thought we may just have the world's best skincare product. I sent some samples out to people and said, spray your face 5 times a day for 8 weeks, and let's see what kind of before and afters we get. Now, Michael, it's your turn. Here we go. First before and after to come back was Sherry Warner. She was 58 years old. And don't go to that yet. No. Let me tell them about Sherry, because it's so cool. So I sent that to my former formulator, who became the head of R&D and formulation for the company that created Botox. And when he saw this, he said, Steve, she's had a facelift. There's no product in the world that can do that. I said, John, you're wrong. His name is John. I won't tell you his last name. I don't want to get him in trouble. I said, this lady owns a farm, works on a farm, no needle, no laser, no scalpel has ever touched her face. This is our product. He said, then you've got something nobody else in the world has. I said, yes. Now that was and she sprayed her face 5 times a day for 7 weeks. Now we're going to show you other before and afters. This is when I was much younger, the next one. And I sprayed my right hand, but not my left hand. And I did it 4 to 5 times a day for 12 weeks. You can see the difference, big difference. Next. This lady's 84. She sprayed for 4 weeks. I said, and she swished. I said, how often did you do it? She said, well, I had bottles all over the house. Anytime I passed one, I'd spray my face. And I would swish multiple times a day. Well, 84, look at her neck. Look at her chin. I mean, my gosh. She took 20 years off her face. Next. This is another 84-year-old, and she said, I had old lady legs. Now I have young lady legs. And that was in 10 weeks of spraying. Next. This was just spraying, and this was an esthetician in Miami, Florida. She said, where did my pores go? Look how smooth. Look how bright my face is. Look at how it's opened up my eyes. She said, Steve, there's nothing in the world that can do this. I said, I know. Next. Okay, she's 60 years old, and that was after 1 month, but look at after 6 months. Here it comes. And that's when Aaron and I met her, and we thought she was in her low 40s, maybe 42 to 45. Look at that. Is that crazy? Next. There you get a side by side. Okay, this guy's 67. Here's what happens, whether male or female: tightens, brightens, smooths, and makes you look younger. Tighten, brighten, smooth, and younger. Okay, next. I'm just going to rush through these. Next. Okay, that was only 10 days, but look at how it evened out her skin tone and minimized her pore size. I mean, that's crazy. Next. 80 years old in 3 weeks, not bad. That's the First Lady's mom. 65 years old in 8 weeks, but she was a smoker and really damaged her skin. And we undamaged it. Next. Okay, that was, okay, 4 weeks. Her daughter's a doctor in Nigeria, gave her the product, and look at the upper half of her face had a management problem of melon, which is what darkens the face. And it was resolved, obviously, in 4 weeks in the after picture. This lady's 80 plus. Next. Okay, there's sun damage from Australia. Next. This guy I love. He said, I like the new look. He's 94 years old. But he says, more than the look, I feel like the guy on the right instead of the guy on the left. Big difference. I like that. Next, and this is the last one we'll show. She's 87. We met her in Hungary. Amazing. And I said, how often did you spray? She said, I did what you said. I sprayed 5 times a day for 7 weeks. No, I said 8 weeks, but she shortened it because Sherry Warner had done 7 weeks. But look at the difference. She also swished every day. Look at the difference. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, back to me. Now, we show you that for 2 reasons. Number one, so you can see we have the most simple, fastest, and most effective skincare in the world. We have, people say, is the glutathione formula the same as the Swish? No, it has a lot of glutathione, it has a lot of cysteine, but not as much as the Swish has. Consequently, we were able to nanosize and put in collagen, hyaluronic acid, and 4 other peptides, and to make it better, even stronger for the skin. So that's what we have. But we show you because we're proud of or grateful, I should say, for our skincare system, but also to show you what we can't show you inside somebody's body. The same biochemical activity that glutathione is performing in the skin, we're performing in your lungs, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas, all throughout your body. It's the same biochemical activity of glutathione. It's just you can't see it. You can see the largest organ of your body, which is your skin. And that's where we did it. So with that, Michael, I'm going to give it back to you and get back to my guest who I'm going to take to dinner. And we'll see you next time. Next time we'll do, well, who knows? We always have new news. So some things get preempted.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching today, one of the things Steve said about TruShield, we have for the last couple of months actually had lots and lots of sports testimonials into the New Me, New You official group. I put it in the chat, but for those people who are on YouTube or Facebook, when you're looking at it, this is what it looks like. You'll need to answer a couple of key questions in order to get into the group. But when you do, that's when you will see oodles of feedback through here from members, sports professionals, you name it, and that's the way to really see what the results are right across the world. So highly recommend you join that group as soon as we finish up today. Again, welcome online, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've been watching some people are on from Europe at extremely late